to stay in the theater and we wanted to do films. But while I was doing a play at Long Wharf Theater in New Haven, I was sent this script and it was called Gold Coast at the time. And the script was so good. And it was a 2 hour movie rather than a television show. It was the beginning of something, and I thought it was really quite special. And I thought this character was quite special indeed. As you said before, this I appeared in the very next year in the first episode of the next year as a DEA agent, drug enforcement agent, with, I remembered his name now, Charles Dutton, who,
Okay, Charles Sutton.
wonderful, wonderful actor. And I believe it was because Michael Mann didn't want to see me go out as a bad guy. And I can be trusted now for all of you out there. We had a 40th reunion in South Beach. And as you said in your intro, it transformed South Beach. It brought neon into South Beach. It brought people. It created a real buzz down there. And our 40th reunion, which was it was attended by people from the Netherlands, Germany, Italy. It was amazing. I'm not sure if anyone came from Ireland, but maybe next year they're going to have another reunion there. Maybe some of you Irish folks would like to join us. I would like to be in Ireland myself and play a little golf. Uh, and I worked with very classy Irishman named Pierce Brosnan not too long ago on the movie November Man, and we had a wonderful time making that movie. And we discovered that we both had the same birthday, which was quite remarkable. And we started on our birthday, which was even more remarkable. Uh, they had a
Bill, yeah.
Go ahead.
Bill, I was just sort of curious when you set the bar shooting that pilot for Miami Vice, and you obviously been in the business for a good lot of time in terms of that at that sort of stage. Had you sort of an inkling that what you were doing would be game changing, and as the word was, that was groundbreaking, that it would lead to what we talk of all the phenomenal guest stars that appeared on Miami Vice? You name them: Bruce Willis, Chris Rock, Don King, legendary names from all different genres of
Sure.
entertainment, were all queuing up to break down the door to guest star in Miami Vice. Did you have any idea when you set about with that sort of pilot episode that you were creating something that was game changing, that would last a lot more than one season? Went on to have 4 seasons, but dare I say, replayed and replayed again and again.
Yes, yes. No, it was a classic series, and I had I was new, as I said, to television, and I really didn't. I was just doing the acting work and enjoying myself very much in Miami and with the people that I was working with, who were wonderful. You mentioned Sandra Santiago, who is still a very good friend to this day. And we had at the reunion, Eddie Olmos showed up, and Eddie was great. You know, his stubbornness about his character and how he created that brooding role and that brooding character that he had was born out of a desire to keep it real, and he added a lot of reality, as I think I did, to the show. Although they walked around without socks on and white shoes and things like that, which was very kind of romantic at the time. I, the boats were incredible, the cigarette boats that they used, but I had no idea that I the editors actually called me before I was to leave to go out of the country to do a play in Hong Kong, and they called me, and they were at 2 o'clock in the morning. They woke me up to tell me how wonderful they thought the scene was, and they went on, and I was delighted that I'd never received a phone call like that before, and I was absolutely delighted and proud to be a part of it. And I did meet some marvelous. The production designer Mel Bourne was a true artist, and Michael Carter. I had no idea. A black man that I that I had no idea had the experience and the skills that he had as a director. And Don Johnson surprised me in that scene as well, um, because it was very fast, the whole thing, and we didn't have a lot of give and take or back and forth. We didn't go out to dinner or discuss the characters or anything like that. It was just the script was there, and we were doing the work as actors, and as it should be. So it was the only time I got the idea that it was remarkably popular is I mentioned I was going to Hong Kong to do a play in the Hong Kong International Arts Festival with the Actors Theater of Louisville. And we were going off to do Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. And I was playing Lenny, and they called and asked me if I'd like to go to Hong Kong, and I was just floored. Yeah, I'd love to. And we went there, and we had a wonderful time. Had great audiences who would listen with headphones and get instant translations. But I stayed there for about a month or so after filming to visit some friends in Japan. And when I came back and landed in JFK, I got in a cab and was driven to my apartment in New York at the time. And I got to my apartment, and the guy kept on looking in the mirror, kept on looking in the mirror at me, and then finally we came to my apartment, and he stopped me and turned around and he said, "Hey, aren't you that bad guy on Miami Vice?" And I said, "Yeah, I am, I guess." I didn't think of him as a bad guy. I thought of him as a guy who made a bad decision. And he had a family, he had a kid in a wheelchair, which was a nice touch for a little empathy for the character. And but the playing of the scene in the nightclub and with Philip Michael Thomas also portraying this undercover coke dealer from Jamaica, and he and I had a good time doing that. And uh, as I said, with Sandra and Olivia and John Deal, who's a terrific actor. But that was my first notion that I was into something big, and it did help me a lot in my career, and it helped me go on to do many other roles with Michael Mann, Manhunter as one, and Band of the Hand as another. And then when we were doing Manhunter, Dennis Farina and Bill Peterson and Stephen Lang were also on that film. And Michael pulled me over at one point and he said, "How would you like to do a television series?" And it was Crime Story. I don't know if your Irish fans are aware of the police drama that Dennis Farina and I did in those years. It was set in Chicago. Dennis was an ex-Chicago detective, and he and his partner actually wrote the pilot, conceived of the pilot, and it was another 2-hour movie pilot that was absolutely beautiful and wonderfully done. And I'll hold it up against any 2 hour movie that I've been proud to be a part of. But I was so proud to be a part of that show, and as well as Miami Vice and many other films that Michael and I did.
And Bill, when you're involved in a 2 hour movie sort of pilot in terms of that for a TV series, and lo and behold, you see the first season to go on and be successful, and then you come back in a guest role for season two as episode one, are you thinking to yourself, maybe there's a chance, maybe this could be a recurring role that is not a one-stop sort of stuff again, that maybe I could have a second run at this, that I missed the gravy, I missed the boat train, and if they only
Yeah.
in terms of maybe there's a different way, obviously that I this time that I could sense the popularity because obviously you played the role in the movie start to pilot and then you go went on and you probably watched season one to be a huge massive success and then there's that buzz when you get the call, could you come back and do a guest role on season two episode one? Are you thinking to yourself, maybe if I do this right, maybe if I look maybe a different way, that there could be a bit of a recurring scene here?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I screwed it up. They didn't ask me to be recurring. They didn't ask Charles Dutton to be recurring either. No, I think it was just a gesture on Michael's part. And frankly, I was doing a lot of work at the time and I was really having the time of my life doing what I was doing in the theater and the films and the other television pilots I had made. And particularly the theater, I went off to do some wonderful plays, new plays. I started my career with Arthur Miller in a play called The American Clock, which was quite popular in London. But unfortunately, I wasn't asked to go to London either. But we were on Broadway and with the show, and it was such a wonderful experience working with Arthur and getting my first equity card, my first professional working job with a man, a hero of mine in literature, and the characters that he writes are close to my heart. And he, I visited him at his house um, and later had dinner with him with another playwright named A.R. Gurney, who I did one of his new plays with. We took the Lincoln Center, and I was sitting at dinner with, here I am sitting at dinner with A.R. Gurney, Arthur Miller, and Bill Saroyan, uh, which was a little humbling to say the least. William Saroyan is an incredible writer. So I was having a pretty good time.
Mm.
Uh, uh, but I will say, when I was doing Crime Story, that's when I fell in love with golf. And
Okay.
we could go on to any golf course in Las Vegas for free. And we took Dennis and I took a large advantage of that, and took lessons, and it was great. I had my first child in Las Vegas, so it was it were special days for me as a young man.
Yeah. And Bill, do you think really that before Miami Vice, we wouldn't recognize the Miami in terms of TV series, in terms of movies, in terms of production at all? Same way that maybe Walker, Texas Ranger had the same impact for Texas and Dallas and that sort of area. Do you think maybe that because TV production companies, directors, they saw what Miami Vice, the landscape of Miami, what it brought to the sort of TV series. Did you think it gave the confidence and really propelled a sort of mini growth in the Miami market for TV shows, movies to be shot in Miami based off of the success of Miami Vice? Because dare I say, there wasn't really much happening in Miami. It was all confined to maybe New York and Los Angeles
It's
before.
true. And there was a lot of drug, there was a big drug thing going on in Miami. It was a very corrupt town. And there was a lot of drug traffic going on there. A lot of shootings, people walking around with weapons. It was, and it was not a clean town. A lot of parts of it were a little run down, except for maybe the downtown area, but or around uh, the boat docks where the yachts were and things like that. But it was South Beach was overrun with that kind of individual. There was a lot of drug use, and in the 80s and in the 60s and in the 70s. I mean, I when I was in college, it was the 60s, and I was a hippie, and I had my share of I had my share of that as well. But those were incredibly different times, um, and incredible memories to boot.
And I sometimes always wonder with such popular TV series like that, when stars have such massive successes for 4 seasons, maybe 100 episodes, that they're sort of sometimes actors can be pigeonholed in terms of, well, that's that actor from Miami Vice, that's that sort of face, and dare I say they go on and have decent careers, but never something as big as what Miami Vice was in terms of that. And I know it's so many series throughout the 80s or 90s that was a big problem in terms of, well, an actor would try and produce a certain role and then they'd be, oh, that's the person from Miami Vice, that's the person from we can't take them seriously in terms of a comedy or a rom-com or something like that because they're a killer, basically. That's the way society see them. Was that do you think, a problem for some of those actors that got so famous from Miami Vice that afterwards they were sort of pigeonholed into certain roles?
Well, quite possibly, it could be due to popularity and identification of their personality with that role. And then on the other hand, it might be because of their acting ability, and that's what they could do, was that one role. Um, I think of myself as a character actor, and even when I wasn't the lead of television shows. For instance, Life Goes On, which is a marvelous show about groundbreaking television. I was the father of a Down syndrome boy, and we had a family who was, uh, I was married. I was married in a previous marriage, and I had an older daughter, and then I married my current wife, and we had a Down syndrome baby, and uh, it was uh, it was, as I say, groundbreaking, and probably the most gratifying role that I've ever had in my life, as I was a special education minor in college, and it meant the world to me to be in that role. But uh, before I was doing that, I was doing Crime Story, and then I was doing Life Goes On, and then after Life Goes On, I went off to play a detective in Millennium, um, which was another fabulous 2-hour pilot, a Chris Carter production, and I've been blessed with um, given roles that in many varied films and characters. Crazy People was another film I did with Dudley Moore and Daryl Hannah, and I played this wacky guy named Bruce who was in a sanitarium with these other four characters, and there was that, and uh, Manhunter after, many different roles after that as well. I mean, it's Independence Day, Air Force One, 13 Days, November Man, all different characters and roles. And I think it's due to my training and the work that I've done in the theater. I've been blessed with good luck and good fortune, and I think somebody up there like me.
Bill Smitrovich, I'm going to turn it over to you now for the final minute or so, and maybe you can tell us about a unique or personal story or a funny moment from your time on set of the 2 hour pilot of Miami Vice, maybe an in-between scene, a cut take, or where you're having a moment or a laugh with one of the main actors or with the director or producer about something that still brings a smile to your face today, that makes you laugh when you think about it, or something that's unique to you that maybe that nobody else knows, that still makes you sort of say brings a smile to your face.
Well, some of it is pretty personal. I really can't get into it. But I do remember going to see the Eurythmics, a concert, and getting a chance to meet Annie Lennox, who was an incredible singer. And I used to go to a lot of concerts when I was younger, especially when I was in college. And it that was a special moment, and I went with those two editors who I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and we had a very very good time at that concert, and there was as I said, I was I frankly I kind of kept to myself. I mean, I spent some time with Sandra. We went out to dinner maybe once or twice, and we visited and talked about acting, and she was a wonderful actress and singer. And my world was wide open. I felt like I was just taking it in. The alligator, and then meeting Elvis the alligator was quite a moment in time, and he actually at one point they had his snout wrapped up in duct tape so he couldn't snap at anybody. But at one point, I mean, he's just a big hunk of muscle, that alligator, and he kind of flipped around like this at me, and man, I jumped back. I was lucky I didn't fall off the dock. It scared the hell out of me. But it was, and we had him on a leash, and we were walking the alligator down the dock, and it was John Nicolella, who was the producer, brought me out for a few boat rides, and riding in that cigarette boat around the Keys was man, those things go, and they'll go, and it's like going 60, 70 miles an hour on the water. I mean, yeah, I've never experienced anything like it. The front of the boat comes up like this, and you're it's like you're going as fast as a bullet. And my the other thing was I'd never had accommodations like I'd had when I was on that film. I mean, we stayed in the Fontainebleau Hotel. It's where Jackie Gleason lived for a long time. I didn't get a chance to meet Jackie Gleason. I wish I did. He's one of my all-time favorite actors and entertainers and personalities. The Hustler, the movie The Hustler, is still one of the best movies and one of my favorite movies. And while I was doing some theater in Williamstown, Massachusetts, I did get a chance to meet Paul Newman, who came backstage after the performance, and I opened my dressing room door, and after a while, because it was an 8 show week and it was 2 shows, a 3 hour play. It was Skin of Our Teeth. And I opened the door and there's Paul Newman standing there with his arms out like this, tears in his eyes. And I just walked right into him and we embraced for the longest time. And the moment I'll never forget. And Joanne Woodward came over and said, isn't he just like Freddie, Paul? Isn't he just like Freddie? And
Bill.
she was talking about Frederick March,
Okay.
who did the original role of George Antrobus in Skin of Our Teeth on Broadway, which was in the 40s, I think.
Wow.
And it was a moment I'll never forget. But that's not Miami Vice story.
Bill Smitrovich, on that note, we'll have to call it a day for now. Bill Smitrovich, thanks for joining us today for
I
really.
would like to add one thing, Jim. I would like to say if people are out there who have autograph conventions in Ireland or England or Wales or Scotland or wherever they may be, I'm available. I'd love to come out and meet the fans, and I do them here in the States, and I'd love to bring my golf clubs and play with anybody who'd like to play with me. I had the chance to play in Scotland, but never in Ireland. And I would play the public course in Edinburgh with a plumber and an electrician. We had a great time.
We'd love to have you, Bill Smitrovich, here in Ireland,
Thank
of
you.
course. Bill Smitrovich, thanks for joining us today to share your memories of Miami Vice and playing Lieutenant Scott Wheeler on the 2 Hour Pilot show. And no doubt still remains one of the most popular pilots in history and definitely put Miami on his map. And Bill, you had
Thank
a
you.
big part to play on that. But from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Bill Smitrovich, stay safe, take care, and God bless, sir.
God bless you. Bye bye.